I've heard it said the NFL season is a race to improve, to become the best team that you can over the course of the long haul. And the race is a marathon, and we've got to continue to try to improve as much as we can every single day. And I think sometimes, your improvement shows up and sometimes it doesn't. So we've got to keep pounding the rock, and the rock is going to crack, But that's our job, to keep pounding, not get discouraged, not think all is for nothing, and continue to work, and our reward will be out there in our future if we continue to do that. So we're in the right direction. We've got the right plan. We've just got to learn to execute it better and more consistently, and I think we'll do that as we go. We'll continue to get better, and that's every single guy doing the best they can.
Yeah, and look, that's the right attitude. What are you going to do? You're going to give up with 15 games to go? They could have won both games, should have won at least one of them. They blew the Raiders game. They just blew it. And they have a history of blowing games in the fourth quarter. There are deeper issues they need to address. When you have a team on the ropes, you need to punch them through. But they're not the only team that's blown a lead in the fourth quarter this year. They just need to keep doing what they're doing. Don't panic. One of the things Sim says, Michael, as the losses pile up, that feeling in the locker room, that tension, it becomes desperation. 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. It's critical to get that first win. Once you start 0-2, getting to 1-2 is so important. 1-2 feels so much different than 0-3.
Yeah, and Mike, we talked earlier about the Steelers and their identity and what you come to expect of the Steelers. Well, the Ravens, traditionally, you know what to expect from the Ravens. You know who they are. You know what John Harbaugh wants to do. They love to run the football. They're a dynamic offense. But I think what's happening with them right now is it's not an identity crisis, but they've tweaked their roster to the point where they still have to figure out exactly what they want to do. Andrews was hurt last year. We saw Likely with the big game against Kansas City. So what are you doing there with these two tight ends? Will Rashad Bateman ever become the threat they thought he would be when they drafted him as a first-round pick? They're giving him opportunities, but is he really stepping up? And then with Derrick Henry, I think we all thought when they signed Derrick Henry, it's a perfect signing because he's going to get 85, 90% of the snaps on a team that already likes to run the football. And I'm not saying he's a disappointment, Mike, but the snaps with Henry and the other backs, it's been a little bit more balanced than at least I thought. Not to mention, they had some changes on the offensive line. I think this is not one of those situations where you say, oh, the Ravens, they'll figure it out. They always do. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm a little bit nervous about where they are right now, especially when you consider their schedule.
We had the graphic on the screen. The 0-2 starts previously for the Baltimore Ravens, who were the Cleveland Browns until 1996. They have not made the playoffs any year. They've started 0-2. That doesn't mean they're destined to not make it. They're in a tough division. They're sitting at the bottom with the Bengals looking up at the 2-0 Steelers, something that no one expected going into the season. But they've got the tools. They just have to not freak out. And they have to go to Dallas, which is not going to be easy this weekend, to try to pick up that first win of the season, and we'll see if they can do it. We talked about their habit of blowing leads. Here's Harbaugh addressing that very real thing, which at a certain point isn't a fluke. It's part of who you are as a team. Here he is.
We have a 10-point lead. It's on all of us as a team to maintain that lead. Our punt team needs to be better. That's for darn sure. Our offense needs to be better. And our defense needs to be responsible to get stops. Stops have to be made, plays have to be made. If you make plays to get the stops, then you leave with a win. So when we learn to do that consistently, then we're going to win. We're going to win all those kind of games. Giving up a fourth quarter lead is never okay. It's not acceptable. It should never happen. And you do it because you don't play consistent football to get the stops that you need to get. And our guys know that. They'll take accountability for it. Coaches will take accountability for it. When I say us, I mean all of us, players and coaches together. That's our job to get that done.
Hey, Michael, it's not just getting the stops. And maybe he's treading lightly here. The offense has to have that ability to deliver the knockout blow when the opportunity arises. I watched the Vikings-49ers game on Sunday, and the Vikings were up 13 points. The 49ers score, and all of a sudden it's 6. If the Vikings had not done anything with the ball on the next drive, opportunity for the 49ers to take the game and erase the 13-point lead. Vikings drive down methodically, get a field goal, push it back to a 2-score game, and that's that. So when you're talking about a multi-score lead, at some point, the offense has a chance to stop the bleeding. And before that, the offense often has the chance to end it. So let's just not focus on the defense. The offense has failed too when a double-digit lead is lost.
Yeah, I mean, you said they should have had the Raiders game. I agree with you. But go back to that first game. You guys were there Thursday night in Kansas City. Now, we all talk about the likely play, but how about the play right before that? Zay Flowers back of the end zone. He's right. Now, I don't know if they're going to win the game. Now, because Harbaugh said he was going to go for 2. When he thought likely had he was going to go for 2. But at least you have an opportunity to extend the game if you just make that play. Lamar Jackson just missed him. And I don't know if you put it out on Jackson or you put that on Flowers, but wide open there, it's exactly what you're talking about. There are many opportunities to extend the lead or to keep the game close, and we focus, when the 10-point lead is blown, we focus entirely on the defense, and there are a lot of places to look. I think, by the way, I think Harbaugh gave that answer. I'll just say quickly, he gave that answer. I think he's trying to protect a first-year defensive coordinator too. We haven't really talked about that. You know, if you say blown lead, you got a new coordinator replacing McDonald, and he's a Raven. You know, he's family, but he's also a first-year guy. There might be some slippage there going from, one really successful coordinator to a new guy.
That's a great point. Zach Orr, a guy who is very young and has had a meteoric rise through the coaching ranks, and you're still getting your sea legs at this point of the season. The preseason is nothing compared to the games that actually count. And again, they go to Dallas, where they are 5-1 all time against the Cowboys. And I remember they went to the old Texas Stadium for the last game there on a Saturday, 2008, I believe it was, and beat the crap out of the Cowboys the night they closed down that old stadium. So they go back there this weekend. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.